Snatch the pebble from my hand. When you can, it'll be time for you to leave. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. And one of the things that I like to do is to go back and look at how other people and other times handled difficult situations, their thoughts on the matter, basic principles of life, leadership, so on and so forth. And one of my favorite shows when I was in college, as a matter of fact, my favorite show when I was in college was one called Kung Fu. I would have the entire basketball team come over to my dorm room, and there'd be like 15 of us. They'd bring their girlfriends, and we'd all sit down and we'd watch the show and just have the greatest time. Why? Because they were so tremendously good. You know, we loved the fighting, of course, but in addition to that, there were also some really neat things being said about life. And I want to share with you some of them. I looked them up, and these are mostly from Master Khan. And Master Po was the one who had, was blind. Master Khan was Cain's other mentor when he was in the Shaolin Temple. So let's go over these. There's 10 of them that I want to share with you today. The first one is, the simplest things are the most difficult to see. You know, just using today's scenario, what could be more simple than, if I don't get near somebody that has the virus, then I'm not going to catch it? Is there anything more simple than that? Same thing, principle applies when somebody has the flu, when somebody has a cold, whatever. You stay away from that person. It's common sense. Now, very, very simple, but it's something that we have to carry out to an extreme level in these times, isn't it? So it becomes more difficult. But it's a simple thing to see. I mean, when they first came out with that directive about social distancing, I thought to myself, wow, do you need, a medical degree to tell me that, to keep away from someone that has an illness? Otherwise I'll catch it. I don't know, it's simple. Not everybody seems to be catching that. I just see so many people out there without masks. I see so many people in the supermarket with their kids. They just let them run wild. And I think to myself, it's a short time period. Control your kids. All right? Number 2, great acts are made up of small deeds. Now, this has reference to when you have a particular goal, vision, dream, ambition, a burning desire, you have an unquenchable thirst for it. Too many people want to go from point zero all the way to the top in 1 second, and it doesn't happen that way. It's a building block process. So you've got to recognize that just as you are driving in, let's say, the Indianapolis 500, that there's 200 laps. If you're the leader at the end of the first lap, that doesn't mean anything. It's the little things. All right, it's making the corners, it's going into the pits, it's having people change your tires the right way, changing the right tires. All of the little details. I don't know much about racing, but it doesn't matter what it is you're talking about. It's paying attention to the little details and getting them done correctly that will get you over the hump. And too many people are looking to just take a pill and have everything all solved for them. Unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. So great acts are made up of small deeds. Persistence under difficulties will win advantage. Perseverance is just like an ace in the hole. If you continue on and on and on and on and on, people think that these guys that accomplish great deeds, that have great companies, your Mark Zuckerbergs, your Bill Gateses, these people that are the titans of industry that are very, very wealthy, Jeff Bezos from Amazon, all right, people think that You know, hey, they just came up with an idea, boom, it registered and they made $1 zillion. Do you have any concept of the difficulties, the challenges that they face time after time after time? Anytime you have a new concept, a new belief, a new vision, there are going to be 90 people out there that are going to say, hey, you haven't got a prayer, that's not going to work, for a number of reasons. One, they don't believe it's going to work, and the other thing is that if it does work and it elevates you, then that puts them down. Understand the way people are. So if you have a belief, a strong belief in a certain concept, your persistence is what's going to carry you through. And search for the little victories. Also search for the defeats as positive aspects, because that's the universe telling you, hey, that's not working, you got to go in a different direction. That even when you have a defeat, that's still a positive thing. Number 4, he who has no trust will not be trusted. You know, there are so many different ways we can talk about that. You know, in the workplace where they have cameras all around and they're looking at this and they're looking for you, things that you do wrong. And then when you go up as the leader and stand in front of the group and say this, it's like, hey, you don't trust me. Trust is a two-way street. It's absolutely a two-way street. If you want to get trust from me, you have to trust me. It's as simple as that. And our present situation, my goodness, things that we hear from Washington, you know, it's like, oh, we're going to have this thing solved. There's only been 15 or what, you know. What kind of trust? If you've got to be, there's got to be a transparency. You've got to tell the truth. You have to be in a position to be trusted, so you'll be able to gather people to help you achieve your goal as a team leader. The wise man avoids extremes and excesses. You know, it's a good idea to kind of remember the rules. Don't get too high on the highs or too low on the lows. You want to keep yourself under emotional control. And by going to too big an extreme or too big an excesses, it's like, you know, there's the story about the guy that ate a Big Mac for 20 years every single day. What do you suppose this guy looked like? Okay, you know, one of the blimps at the Macy's Day Parade on Thanksgiving. You know, by the same token, there's the person that exercises every single day. I mean, there's extremes and excesses within. If you do something within reason, then there's not going to be an addiction. You know, and exercising, keeping your body, you know, that's a good thing to do. But, you know, doing the over and over and over and over again, well, oh, having one Big Mac isn't going to kill me, or having one Whopper isn't going to kill me. But if you do it every single day, look at your habits. Look at your habits, all right? And they become like extreme when you stop and think about it. He who will lead must follow behind. Okay. One of the first rules of leadership is that you as the leader are there to serve and not to be served. Your objective is to bring people up, not keep yourself up and to keep everybody else down. That isn't how a successful organization grows, or it prospers. The number one thing that stops an organization from growing is the poor development of their leadership. You could have the absolute best products in sliced bread, but if you don't have the leaders that are in a position to help you get that out to the public, you're in a world of hurt. You're in a world of hurt. Leadership is everything. And so, but leaders must follow behind means that they must be very clear on what they expect their people to do. Make sure that their people get it, and make sure that they get it by having them repeat back to you, regurgitate back to you what the objective is, and then you follow up as the leader and see that that job was done. It's less important that when you give someone an assignment that you tell them exactly how you want it done. Sometimes that's the case, sometimes you do that. But when you have a responsible person and you have a particular job that you want to get done and you trust that person to do it and they have experience, they will work harder on their own game plan rather on one that is force-fed to them. Give them the opportunity. The other thing in terms of following behind as a leader is when you're growing your organization, it's a key thing to allow people to make mistakes. That's how they're going to learn. Just make sure that they're not catastrophic for the entire organization. And encourage your leaders to come to you when they have issues, when there's a mistake being made, or when there's a result that's not a good result, so that you can work on it together. Follow behind your people. Good leaders, he who will lead must follow behind. Number 7, the wise man is guided by what he feels and not what he sees. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. When you have a particular vision about something, one of the things that people say, oh, you could never do that, you could never do that. But when you have that burning desire and you send that vibe into the universe, what's going to happen is the universe is going to want to cooperate with you because you've identified that one particular burning desire, that magnificent obsession, amongst all of the other things in your life, amongst the 60,000 or more thoughts that you think every day. You've singled it out. And when you do that, the universe does want to cooperate with you in so many different ways. It'll give you a mind flash. It'll give you an inspiration. It'll create a circumstance that you could neither predict nor plan. And you will know that that's the case when you have that special feeling in your gut. So trust your gut. The smartest people on the planet, and if you look them up, and for me, the one that I like to talk about the most is Einstein. He had a whole method of thinking, and my belief is that he kind of knew what he was doing. Was he would just sit down, think about something, get that vibe out there, and he would get inspirations, and he would receive these inspirations at the time when he was the most relaxed. Einstein told us that he got many of his inspirations while he was taking a relaxing shower, or while he was playing the violin, while he was doing something relaxing, because that allows the universe to communicate with you, I don't know why, but in a better way. So when you're having that, sending that vision out there, there's a bit of intensity on the out, when it's going out, but when it's coming back in, the best time to receive it, taking a shower, going for a drive, when you're in a relaxed state, that allows the universe to give you more effective input, and make sure that you capture it, because it doesn't most of the time come to you whole. It comes in bits and pieces. So take each piece like a puzzle piece, store it, and then you're in a position to put it back together. Number 8, the more one gives to others, the more he has. Well, when I see that, that reminds me of Zig Ziglar. If you help enough other people get what they want, you will get what you want. Very simple concept. Because when you help other people get what they want, there's going to be remuneration back to you, and you're helping them. So make sure that your focus is in the right direction. Being selfless. When you're selfless, you make sure that they get what they want. There's going to be people that are grateful in return. There's many ways to show gratitude. One of the most common in a capitalistic country is money. So keep that in mind. Keep that particular mindset there, because the more that Bill Gates helps people, the more that Mark Zuckerberg helps people, or Jeff Bezos helps people, what happens to them? The more they get, don't they? It's a very simple principle. Number 9, the foolish student laughs at knowledge. people tend, when they don't want to do something, they tend to ignore something, and the easiest way to ignore something is to make a joke about it. And you make a joke about it, and then, well, I'm not doing that, that's stupid. You can't have that kind of an attitude, students. I myself don't have that attitude. I look at things and I give them their due. I give it some thought. You need to do that. You can't be so rigid in your mindset that you're not allowing a new perspective to come in. And when that happens, that's how prejudices evolve, that's how bigotry evolves, among other things. But it also stifles growth like nobody's business. And that kind of brings us to number 10, which is, he who walls his house sees no one. All right, well, especially in today's times, I guess it's okay to live in a walled house where you're keeping your distance from people, but we're talking more on the figurative rather than the literal with this particular one. And what we're talking about is, get opposing points of view. If you're a leader, get opposing points of view. You don't have to buy into them, you don't have to marry them, but you need to listen to other people. Now, people my age, I'll give you a really good example of that. People my age have, for the most part, and I'm generalizing here and stereotyping here, but even some of the smartest people that I know just have absolutely no use for social media. But you people that are younger, you people that are in your, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, whatever, you recognize the major impact that social media has on our lives. And if we're going to be people, in my generation are going to ignore that, then we're going to be missing the boat, my friend. You have to take advantage of what's out there, and you have to see what's out there, and you have to see what people are following. And it's very, very clear that in today's times, the social media presence is paramount. Absolutely paramount. I mean, back in my day, there were 3 television networks, and that was it. Now, there are so many different sources of information, and information on the computer. You don't even have to know how to type. All you have to do is hit the button and say, who is the 38th President of the United States? And your Google will tell you who it was, and it'll give you information on that person. So it's easier than ever. But you have to be able to take advantage of the modern technology. And by the same token, you people that are the younger people need to understand the things that make somebody successful. Now, technology changes, but principles never change. So the key things are, and I've gone over this several times, is if you want to be successful, you've got to have that burning desire. You get to feel it, smell it, see it, taste it, touch it. You have to visualize it. You have to see it as you want it to be, and you have to take baby steps every single day. I don't care if you're working on a computer program or what you're working on. Whatever it is, the formula is the same. And these principles are handed down to us from all the successful people that went before us. So that's why the importance of a book like, as an example, Think and Grow Rich, or As a Man Thinketh, or The Science of Becoming Rich, is critical, because you get to see, you'll see the same principles repeated over and over and over and over and over again. So older people, hey, grasp onto the technology that's out there, understand how important it is. Younger people, grasp onto the principles that make a person successful. So there you go. There's 10 different sayings from the television show Kung Fu from Master Khan. So there's wisdom all over the place. You just have to know where to look for it. And because we will never end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's all get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.